A live streamer and frequent critic of Denver police could be going to jail for publicly sharing a police commander's address.
It's a practice known as doxing, and it's illegal in Colorado. The woman is the first person convicted under the law. Your investigator Brian Moss talked with her about the crime.
I want the police to feel what they're doing to people through my speech.
Okay, here we go. Looks good, sounds good.
It was a warm September night outside the Denver Police District 3 station.
Do a good job honoring your oath. Yeah, you too.
Regan Benson was going live.
I'm unstoppable.
But this live stream would lead to criminal charges.
How surprised were you to be arrested and charged under the anti-doxing law?
Oh, that was shocking. Very shocking. I didn't even know the law existed.
With more than 24,000 followers on YouTube, the 53-year-old grandmother has streamed hundreds of times.
What in the actual are you guys doing?
We need you to step off or else we have to give you a citation.
A citation for what? Who's the sergeant?
Often clashing with police and public officials. She's been arrested 9 times.
Do you know that blinding my recording is against the law?
This time she targeted District 3 Police Commander Joel Bell, asking viewers to find his home address. She had sued Bell before and had been critical of him in the past.
We need to find out where Steve Bell lives, because we're going to have a Brian O'Neill pig roast party at Joel Bell's house. Can anybody Google that for me?
Her followers responded.
So now go to the county assessor.
And she repeated his home address on her live stream, along with suggestions there should be a pig roast at his home. All that led to criminal charges.
Why would you say, let's have a pig roast at Commander Bell's house?
Because it's funny.
Bell says publicizing his home address put his family at risk. Police increased patrols and installed a camera at his home. A week later, Benson was charged under the state's anti-doxing law.
People, regardless of their job, deserve to do that job without fear for their safety or the safety of their families.
State Representative Andy Basenecker says Colorado's anti-doxing law protects people from real danger.
The question is whether or not we as a society will accept that dissemination of information for purposes that could bring about harm to that individual.
The grade we're giving them today is an F for transparency and professionalism.
You never know what's going to happen on a Regan Benson live stream.
Benson says her words were protected speech and the commander's address was already public. The activist believes she did nothing wrong. She says she thinks the prosecution was retaliation for past antagonism of Denver police and public officials.
It was deliberate targeting. It was another opportunity to arrest Regan Benson. And the Denver Police Department, with the support of the district attorney, capitalized on it.
A jury disagreed, convicting Benson last week.
You could go to jail.
For a year.
What do you think about that?
It's a little scary, but I have to face it.
So how big a deal is this?
I think it's a huge deal.
Benson's lawyer calls the Colorado anti-doxing law unconstitutional.
I don't discount how Commander Bell subjectively felt, but that's why we have the First Amendment, because it doesn't depend on how you made someone feel. The First Amendment allows people to hurt others' feelings.
Regan Benson will be sentenced next month, but she says even now she has no plans to stop live streaming.
You would do the same thing all over again?
Yes, because I wasn't doing anything wrong.
You guys, thanks for hanging out. We'll see. I'll keep you posted if you don't hear from me.
I'm Brian Moss.
I'm probably in jail.
Covering Colorado First.
Regan Benson will be sentenced May 8th. She does plan to appeal her conviction. Denver District Attorney John Walsh released a statement saying he vigorously supports First Amendment expression. But in this case, he says Benson stepped across the line. We did reach out to Commander Bell, who declined to comment, citing the likely appeal.
Hey, everybody. How are you?
Welcome to a Regan Benson live stream. I know a lot of you in here are new to my channel, and I really appreciate you coming over here out of total curiosity on what is going on. And welcome. And I hope you sub, and I hope you hang out, and I hope you get notifications, and I hope you follow the Regan Benson YouTube channel. Full disclaimer, I'm not on YouTube for money. I don't play by YouTube rules, and you're going to hear cussing on this channel. You're going to hear things that probably don't feel very good. Maybe, I don't know, depending on who you are. But here's the truth. Welcome. You can have an opinion. You can share all those opinions if they're good dialogue. But if you're coming to my channel with bad intentions and you think you're going to come here and troll me relentlessly, it's not going to work. I have to make full disclaimer before we even start, because as of now, the government, all its keepers, all its people, all its attorneys, and all those who want to take Regan Benson down are watching with intense scrutiny. Every word is being recorded. Everything I say, everything I do is being watched by our keepers in our free country because they don't like speech that doesn't feel good. So I have to make full disclaimer that we do not promote violence on my channel or in my chat. I have mods that moderate my chat. If you come here with bad intentions, you're not going to be given a warning. You're just going to disappear. So if you are here to engage in honest, productive dialogue, we welcome that. Other than that, leave now, because this is not for you. And if you don't like cussing, and if you don't like things that don't make you feel good, and you're here out of curiosity, that's fine. But if you have ill intentions, just leave. Because the First Amendment is for the government, to protect the people from the government. This is my platform. And if I don't like you, I can say bye-bye to you. You are not entitled to the First Amendment on my platform. So with that, let's jump right in. And I'm not a babysitter of adults. I have, I think, some fabulous mods. They all know who they are. And I thank them relentlessly for their commitment to this channel, the work I do and what it means, because I don't have mods that don't understand what's important to me. And that's fact. So with that, we are going to have a discussion today with my wonderful friend, Gertie, who has been so kind to join us. And Gertie has to, of course, be hidden, but she is more than willing to have this conversation because she viewed my recent trial from the perspective of someone who had to depend on what the court was doing with transparency. I, of course, viewed my own slaughtering of, that was a bad word. See, let's just get into Gertie. Tell us about you, what you want us to know. And we have to protect my people now, my people, because the government wants to know who all of you are. They want to come after you if it means that they are successful in scaring all of you away. So do know that is exactly why Gertie's face is not up here and Gertie's real identity. With that, Gertie,
Hey, Reagan. Regan, God, I just said it wrong. Listen, I found you because, and I stayed interested in watching you because of your work with homelessness. And I haven't been here but a couple of years, but I have looked back on your years and years and years of work. And I understand that your issues with the police are well grounded and well founded, and you have every reason to be angry with their treatment. And when we started our country, we wanted to limit our government. And every time enough people get angry at the government creates new structures, more power, more surveillance, more uniforms, more guns. They create things to crush dissent. And they keep getting bigger, and we get smaller, and you're just one person, Regan. And the system is trying to crush you and has been trying. And I feel like you're all alone, and I feel like I need to kind of keep an eye on you. And I feel like I need to support you. And I watched that trial because I was interested and because I had the time, but also because I was angry. I was angry that they were doing this garbage to you. Everyone knows it was a joke. All your people that you are interacting with, which is a small number in YouTube values, right? It's not like 1 million people are watching. You are talking to people who know you. You were venting. You were protesting for redress. You were doing it in a peaceful way by talking. People, after a while, you got a little less mad, and we were making fun of cops, right? And it was a back and forth. It was silly. Somebody talked about pigs. Somebody talked about pig wieners. You drew penises. We were laughing. It was stupid. You said, let's do pigs doing a pig roast at a pig party. Big deal. There is no one who thought that was an imminent threat. No one. But they said, we've been trying to get her for a while. Let's do it this way. And you didn't even know there was some stupid law. And I looked up the law and I posted it there, Regan. I don't know if you can see it. The exact wording of that law tells you it has to have a serious threat, an imminent and serious threat to the safety, and the poster knows or should know that that's a threat. That right there is the law that you did not break. Sorry, that's my dog right there.
You're good.
And I just want to know how a juror can see that, watch your silly video, because I know it was played during your trial, and then they see this law, and they look at that law while they're deliberating and think that was an imminent and serious threat.
No.
What?
I'm going to stop you right there.
Okay.
They did not look at that law.
Why?
They weren't provided the law. Can you imagine?
How do you mean? No, how do you mean?
Yeah, can you imagine how that would go down? So a lot of people don't understand the process, and that judges are king. And judges tell juries, you will listen to me because I know the law. And I am going to give you instructions that tell you what you will do when you are deliberating. And guess what? Just like that, this judge said, we're going with the prosecution's And the defense, your jury instructions, trash.
Well, well, well. That sounds like a little bit of judicial bias to me. And that's another thing. I did notice some more judicial bias. A lot. And let's just even start with trying to view your trial. They did not want that to be published. They did not want, because I have watched the court using the WebEx, and I've watched it using the YouTube link. They both work. They both work perfectly fine when the court wants them to. One has a horrible, the YouTube has worse camera. It's more unfocused. The best focus is on whoever's in the witness stand. But the WebEx, you can actually see the judge, a little box of the judge, and see the court. And it's better lighting, better focus, better camera. But that's not what happened during yours. It was a fight to get on and stay on.
You're right.
We got kicked off.
You're right.
They monitored the YouTube chat where people were asking me, how can I watch? I was trying to give them a link to watch.
Mm-hmm.
They kept erasing it immediately.
Yep. Now, if you're a really bad judge, does that make sense to do?
Yes.
I would
and
say yes.
if I already have a bias and I know which way I want it to go, I have every reason not to want transparency. If I'm a immature judge or a beginner judge, I don't want people watching me.
Yeah.
That can be embarrassing.
That's exactly what took place. And I love that you're jumping right in to all these things that you witnessed, because I know that you're super excited to share this, and I am too, and I want to talk about it. But the title of this video that I've set up is A Message to My Jurors. And it's been out for a couple of days that I set this stream up, and I want to be very clear about what the intentions here are with A Message to My Jurors. You blew it. You blew it bad. And this isn't a slaughter fest. That word, in the context that it's being used right now, is not an imminent threat, and it's not an incitement of violence. It's hyperbole. So the slaughter fest here is, what do you think about how you responded as a juror? Because you did a really, really bad job. And we're about to tell you why. And this isn't an attempt to get people to harass you or make you feel bad about your hair. This is real. And you were in charge of making a decision that affects my life exceptionally adversely. And so I am allowed to have an opinion about my own jury. Anybody that saw what went on in that courtroom. Now listen, anybody, any person anywhere could have walked into that courtroom and viewed everything from start to finish, because it's an open courtroom. That's what we want in America. So anybody could have come and seen you as a juror walk in to that courtroom to be put through the process to serve on my jury that day. So let's be very clear, about what that means from the public perception and the ability to be able to have an opinion about what you did. We get to do that. Of course, what we don't get to do is make threats against you. You're not going to be named, even though I could. It's public information. Anything that was said in that courtroom, anybody could go do a records request. And anybody that was in that courtroom that day heard everything you said. So this is a true and honest breakdown of, in totality, a message to my jurors. Justin, thank you very much. Much appreciated. I see you all in the chat. I do. I just want you to know I'm not paying a whole lot of attention to the chat, as I testified to also about how or why I didn't see a certain message at a certain time and why I didn't babysit everybody in a chat. So just know that, please, and thank you all for your comments. And again, you should know my mods have full ability to control that chat, and we've never had issues, ever. In the 15 years I've had this channel, we've never had issues of anyone doing anything threatening in a physical that I'm aware of. Maybe my mods took care of it. I don't know. Good job, mods. I must, just be out of touch, and you're just catching all that. My point is, it's never been an issue because it doesn't happen. And it certainly doesn't happen on my channel. So look, with that, jurors, as we continue to talk through this conversation right now, that may be too much for you to watch in totality. I don't know. I don't know if any of you are going to watch it or see it, or if it's going to get back to you or whatever. I don't know. But just know that we're going to continue this discussion about that whole trial. And we're going to pose questions about, why did you miss that? How did you possibly find me guilty of this? Because I'm not going to lie to you. The prosecutors, they were in total shock that I was convicted. They didn't tell me that. They were good little fellers at that prosecution table. But they knew that they just witnessed something in Denver, Colorado that they have likely never seen before. And they were in shock. Because when I got up and left, after you rendered your guilty verdict and the judge read it and we were off the record, me and my attorney, we got up and we walked out of the courtroom. But before we did that, my attorney, of course, stopped and had some conversation with the prosecutors. Very pleasant, very professional, as she is. And I was watching and listening, because that's what you were doing to me, right? You were watching and listening. And I watched those two at the prosecution table. And this also is not a stream to thoroughly embarrass you two prosecutors by putting your names out there, even though I could, even though a lot of people know your names. You don't get any concessions from me thinking that I'm okay with what you did because you were just doing your job. I'm not. You fucking suck too. You were horrible. And it's embarrassing that you became attorneys to put yourself in those positions. I know. DA John Walsh was just asking you to just, go do your job. Just do your job. It'll get you some brownie points. Just do it well. Miss Benson totally understands that, we just have to do our job, trying to destroy her life for our paychecks. She understands that. So jurors, pay very close attention. And for all of you prospective jurors, or for those of you that have never served, or for those of you that are curious about the process, watch this entire stream. And in fact, Gertie and I here may not even get through this conversation today. We may have to pick it back up because it's so very important to have. Am I on the right page there, Gertie?
I hear you. I think that I think that always going back over something and learning how to go back over something, learn how to think critically is so important. And I think that didn't happen in this case. I don't think there was enough attention paid to what was important. And then think critically about things that weren't said, or you heard something and didn't ask another question about it because it seemed a little off. I think that's important.
And anybody that knows me, that knows my channel, that really follows me and understands what I'm about and doesn't pick up all their talking points from all the trolls or whatever, wherever you get your talking points instead of from the source, you know that I am a person of great patience, tolerance, understanding, that I've raised children. I am a grandmother. I have a lot of life experience. I've learned it through a course of going through hard knocks in activism. I've always admired that I've been in a position from time to time, not always in my life, to go out and make a difference in trying to help people through something horrible that I may have gone through and learned how the system screwed me over. Okay, so you know, those of you that follow me, and if you're new here, you're about to learn who I really, really am and why I do what I do. So, jurors, I have judgment about you, a lot of judgment, because that's what you convicted me on, was judgment and not facts and the law. So the crux of this conversation is, why did you do that? Ask yourselves. You had an opportunity to talk to anybody you wanted to after you rendered the verdict. You also got a lecture from our exceptionally horrible judge. I don't know what that lecture was when he went back there and talked to you before he dismissed you permanently. I don't know what he told you. But what I know to be true and fact to the law is I can stand anywhere outside of that courtroom. I could have stayed in that courtroom. I could have gone downstairs and just hung out, and you walk out of there and walk right past me, and you don't have to speak to me. I fully understand that. I don't know if the judge told you, definitely don't speak to her because you don't have to. I don't know what he told you, because he told you a lot of stupid shit throughout that trial, and you bought it. And you all walked out after you found me guilty. And one of you walked out and smiled at me, but hung your head. You, Miss 19-year-old. Yes, I'm talking to you. You, I am sure with 100% certainty, at minimum, were the one juror, the one person that was convinced otherwise of what you already knew, that I was not guilty. And you, at your very young age, I think there were more of you. I don't think it was just you. I'm not picking on you. You in your very young age, the youngest, and the youngest juror I have ever seen. And I've watched a lot of jury trials. I've watched a lot of jury selection. I have never seen a 19-year-old make it onto a jury. And we're in, of course, little old county court on a 6-person jury. Miss 19-year-old, you do realize that you could have been called into a murder case. And you held the verdict to what you knew was true in this very case, and somebody changed your mind. Why? So with that, you are entitled to talk to anybody you want about your verdict. My attorney and I and the attorney team, we were standing out in the hall. You all walked out. Not one of you said a word. That's okay. But only 5 jurors walked out. Odd. Where was the 6th juror? Well, of course I'm wondering that. So I thought, well, who knows what's going on back there? Let's go outside. I'd rather just do my live stream and talk to my friends right now. Right? I go outside and I'm having some conversation. Been out there, I don't know, probably 15 minutes or so. Out walks the 6th juror. Well, he's in a few different clothes. He happened to be the foreman of the jury. And he goes and gets on his bicycle and pedals away. Walked right by me. Probably my age. In my opinion of you, you didn't even have the balls, Mr. Foreman of the jury, to even fucking look at me. Why is that? Why'd you get on your bicycle and pedal away without a word said to somebody who you literally just said, you're guilty? It was your choice. Yeah, ultimately it was your choice to do that and just pedal away. And I respected that, didn't I? And you know that because it was all captured on cameras by the government. And you had zero respect for my camera, and my level of transparency, and my level of why you were even there to begin with. I gotta stop. Gertie. So Gertie might be gone here for a minute.
I'm here.
Okay. I gotta stop because I could just go on and on and on. So tell us what it was like for when you left off here from the beginning, right? I interrupted you. I said, let's go back to the jury, have that discussion, set that what's going on in this whole discussion we're having. So you were a spectator of the Slaughterfest.
Yeah, and I unfortunately didn't get to watch voir dire. They didn't let us watch that, and I'm not sure why. And you know, when you're picking a jury of your peers, that's an important part of the jury process. You know, you're supposed to have a fair, diverse, unbiased group. You know, from every class, every, an intelligence range. And how do you pick who understands you and who's your peer? I don't know.
Well, hold on, I gotta stop you again. So you saw nothing about the jury. Nothing.
No, I knew from the hearing before that he had a little game to play where you put 6 people in this row and then 6 people in that row. And then if I knew all that, I knew the instructions and how y'all were going to strategize.
Because that was at pre-trial. That was discussed at the pre-trial conference,
correct.
A hearing prior to trial. Okay.
Right. And I remember just thinking, it's sad that we play games in court to try to win or lose. Court's supposed to be finding the truth. And it starts off with a game. How is that justice?
Well, I know what it is. I'm going to type it in the chat right now for everyone. It's called Just Us. There it is for everybody. There's the answer everybody. And we have made it this way, and we have tolerated it. Because if you're anybody with any semblance of intelligence, you know the system is designed to work against the people. Now, if you're 19-year-old, if you're 19, this is the best system in the world. Girlfriend, you knew you were going to report to jury duty. Why didn't you just do a little more research? You're in college. Your mother is an attorney in corporate law, you said. Or maybe you were just lying. Maybe you were just lying to get on the jury. Because I'm going to tell you what, that was also occurring with my jurors.
I would have lied to get on your jury.
You know, that's another interesting conversation in what it takes to be on a jury. Well, you're supposed to be honest with yourself.
Exactly. You're supposed to be truthful.
And so, if you haven't heard the term jury nullification and all these things about what's unjust, is this law, was this law unjust? Was it an unjust law that I was being convicted of? Well, my attorney sure said it was. It's unconstitutional. And she did a hell of a good job explaining why. Did any of you jurors hear a single word out of her mouth? I mean, I told my attorney, not that I had to, because for those of you, especially you jurors that don't know anything about my attorney, I am probably a one in a lifetime opportunity to get this level of attorney that practices on both sides of what government does badly, right? The criminal side and the civil side of having to sue the government. You don't understand, maybe some of you do, but this jury didn't understand that this caliber of attorney that was standing before you in county court was a once in a lifetime opportunity for you as well. And I said to my attorney, even though I'm sure she already knew, we got to dumb it down. This has got to get dumbed down. So what you got is the dumbed down version. What did you think about my attorney's presentations there, Gertie, and what the jury should have picked up on?
Well, first of all, your attorney's a badass and smart, whip smart. To be down there slumming it, for a misdemeanor. But the reason she was there, I suspect, is because she knew the constitutional arguments, and she's going to take that higher out of that court with the idiots, and it's going to be addressed with legal scholars. But even if, let's say that was a constitutional law, you didn't break the law as it was written.
Thank you.
But it is unconstitutional, in my opinion. And I think that will be proved out legally. But even if it wasn't, how did the jurors miss that you didn't do what they said you did? And you answered part of it, that the judge didn't give them the law. How do you have a juror decide whether you broke the law if they don't know the law?
And I don't know if you know this or not. Do you know that while the jury deliberated for an hour and 30 minutes. There was not one question from them after a
Wait a
two-day
minute.
trial.
Wait a minute. They didn't eat lunch? And they got done in an hour and a half? Your video alone was longer than that, wasn't it? Didn't you
Yes.
have weren't there a bunch of exhibits? Aren't they supposed to go through every exhibit at least once and look at it and then discuss it and put it down?
We got through the alphabet in exhibits in this case.
So that's over 20, that's what, 26 letters in the alphabet? And you had
Well,
more than that?
some of those exhibits counted in the motions hearing. So to their defense, I think we were on L when we started the trial. Don't quote me. I don't know. We were on exhibit L.
But still, if you pick up an exhibit and talk about it with your fellow jurors, that's going to take a minute at least.
And the video,
You're supposed to rewatch the video.
Yeah. Well, you're mistaken in that you saw the video play in court. You saw snippets of the video play in court.
Oh,
Did you know
by
that?
the way,
You knew that, of course, right?
no, I don't think I knew that there was the first part that your lawyer had to introduce that wasn't shown after the prosecutor showed their part, but they didn't include the whole video, right? Is that what you're saying?
So that video was an hour and 40 minutes long. Can you tell me with certainty that you watched more than 10 minutes worth of video while that trial was being presented to the jury? Do you feel comfortable yourself watching that trial? Did you watch more than 10 minutes of video in totality?
No, the part also, if you're watching online, you couldn't see the video. You knew it was playing, but I couldn't see the screen.
Hold on. So you didn't, this is all new to me. I knew things were going to come out in this conversation. So from the public perspective of where the video was playing to the public, because the courts want to be transparent in everything they do, you didn't even get to see what was being played on the screen. You didn't see the jury. Okay.
I could see the jury, but I could see the defense. I mean, not the defense, the prosecutor's table. And kind of behind them, there was a screen. And it looked like that's what the jury would be watching. Well, I could see the screen, but I couldn't see the video. I could see little shape blobs, but I couldn't see and hear what the jury supposedly saw and heard.
Well, I will tell you with certainty, not more than 10 minutes of that video was played for that jury.
Yeah,
so,
I knew it wasn't an hour and a half.
Yeah. So we got an hour and 40-minute video that has been entered in its totality because it's a rule of procedure to use this entire video to prove the elements of the crime in that statute had been met.
And they didn't watch it.
Jury, were told that. So how did you watch an hour and 40-minute video and render a verdict in an hour and 30 minutes, approximately?
And view all the exhibits.
Forget the exhibits and forget all the other discussion. Let's just say they watched the video. Did they even have time?
No, they didn't.
They couldn't have.
No.
They didn't care because they got sent into deliberations hungry. Here's another thing you jurors didn't catch on to. The judge, he was feeding you food for the first little bit of this trial, wasn't he? Yeah, it was so cute and sweet. I couldn't quite understand if you got that full breakfast that he said he was going to give you on day 2 of the trial, but you definitely didn't get lunch on day 2 of the trial, did you? And what time did you go deliberate? What was it? 1:30ish, after 1, something like that, right? Now
I'd have been hungry. I'd have been wanting to go.
And what did the judge tell all of you repeatedly? Listen, sorry, we can't give you food today, so you're on your own for lunch today. But you must deliberate together. So you could do anything you want for lunch, but you cannot talk about this case if you're not together. You have to be together to talk about this case. Okay, jury, you're dismissed, but you got to be together. Didn't you jurors, you didn't get it, did you? You didn't even know at that point that the judge had already determined the outcome of the trial for you? You dummies. You look silly. And the judge just sent you on your way with a great big smile on his face. You got duped. You got duped by a stupid county court judge who he shouldn't even be a lawyer because he doesn't even know law. He didn't even know that he had exhibits from the motions hearing that he was supposed to have reviewed on the record. He lost them. He lost them. What's going on here? Why am I on this trial? Oh shit. I just figured out on day 2 who Regan Benson is. Yeah. You got made fools of by a stupid judge.
I don't understand how the jury, listening to him talk, thought he should be someone who they should listen to for law advice.
Because he told them that.
He rambled on and he got lost in what he was saying. One time he got me so turned around, I forgot what the original question was. And I knew if he started talking and he was going to talk for a while, he'd already made up his mind against you, because the couple of times he did go your way, it was quick, smooth, and intelligent. But it only happened once or twice that he went your way on a ruling or an objection.
Absolutely. He didn't let my attorney do anything. And the jury didn't even see that. They didn't even pick up on that.
When he cut off lines of questioning too, and then your jury was able to ask a question, weren't they curious? Like, why did that judge want her to stop talking about a homeless motorhome? Why was that important to stop that?
Well,
weren't
I
they
don't know
curious?
if you know this. Yeah, I don't know if you know this or not. But Judge, I refer to him as a sham job because I can. But for the record, everybody, it was Judge Issam, and I'm not trying to mispronounce your name, Judge Sham Job. Right now, I'm trying to be so the public knows who the judge was over the trial that you ensured a guilty verdict on, right? So it's Issam, Isaam, Shamsid Dean. His last name, Shamsid hyphenated Dean, Dean. And I so eloquently, from the second I saw that guy, like, this guy is a fucking idiot.
But wait, wasn't he your third or fourth judge?
Yeah. That's the other weird thing.
That's kind of weird.
Very weird, right? But Judge Shamjob, do you know where he came from? Eviction court. I came from eviction court. Why is Judge Shamjob now on my case as the third judge who's not even been through an election cycle? So, dear jurors, you know what's also really cool? Is to be so engaged in your civic process of where you live and you understand what it means to vote for judges. How come none of you interviewed the judge to determine if you wanted to be on my jury? Just curious, because I'll tell you what, when judges tell you, yeah, you can ask us any questions. No question is right or wrong, and we're not here to do anything mean to you. Do you ever think about asking, could you tell us what your history is, Judge such and such? None of you did that. How come? Because you fucked it up. Yeah, so we ended up with Judge Shamjob and from eviction court. And so Judge Shamjob, he thought it was okay to eliminate all testimony that would describe my character, right?
Yep.
Because the prosecution was only describing my character through testimony as this horrible, horrible person. I was the worst thing since those two prosecutors being without an Xbox, right?
They introduced testimony by word of a cop that described you as dangerous and that they were truly scared and had to do a safety plan. There was no evidence of a safety plan presented. Your lawyer mentioned that. It was very clear to me watching over my computer that there was no evidence presented to match what he was saying. How did the jurors miss that?
And here's the other thing, jurors. It's not my job to prove my innocence. And we did it over and over and over and over. And you convicted me on what you thought was beyond a reasonable doubt of what they presented. And here's why you did what you did. Because you were too dumb to see that Judge Shamjob ensured that you never heard other testimony. And you were like, oh, yeah, the judge knows what's best. He's smart. He's smarter than, he's the smartest person in the room. That's what every single one of you jurors that ended up on my jury said to yourselves. And you are that low on the totem pole that you couldn't even pick up on that? That my attorney didn't get to ask anything? And that every time we started talking about, every time she started questioning in cross-examination to my character or to what the cops testified to, she was shut down? How did you miss that?
And not only that, Regan, she was able to elicit testimony that you'd been arrested, but that you hadn't been found guilty. She elicited testimony from the cops that, oh no, she's never been violent. Oh no. Oh yes, she comes to meetings. Oh yes, she goes to city council. And how do they miss that?
Because the judge told them to.
Do they really believe that big bad cop was afraid of you? Or
That's
afraid of some mysterious listener on a YouTube page?
No, that wasn't what it was about. It was about their feelings because the judge
Oh.
kept putting them back in touch with their feelings. Does this feel very good that Miss Benson did this? The prosecution. The judge,
Right.
he definitely did his thing, but the prosecution. Is she sorry for what she did? You were too dumb to stick with that. You needed to know that you're not there to judge me on your feelings, people. And you didn't like my testimony because it didn't feel good. Now, if I had wanted to go in there and win that trial and not be myself, if you've watched me now and you've gone through my channel, you know enough that I could have gotten up there and really just put on a show for you. Like you did for me. Like you did for the entire courtroom. So you could be sat on that jury. Because let's back up to the beginning of when you all walked into the room. You were a jury of 6. There were 12 seats in the jury box. None of you knew, shouldn't have. I don't know. There's still a lot of conversation in the background here about how a couple people ended up in the box to begin with. And then there was, overflow of jurors in the gallery. And none of you were supposed to know what any of it meant in the courtroom. Now, if you're experienced and you've educated yourself or you've been on juries before, and every jurisdiction is different, every court is different. But if you end up in the box, you pretty much know, if you've had experience, that you're on the burner here. They're looking at you hard, right? So you walked in to the courtroom in the order that you were going to be sat, in the jury box or in overflow. Is that random? Let's just say, yeah, the clerk went and rounded y'all up and you all lined up and you 12 just happened to end up in the box. You are the first 12 that I am looking at from head to toe, because it's my trial. It's my trial. And I am judging you up and down and all around because I have to, because you're about to determine what's going to happen in my life for a very long time now. Now, if I saw you out on the street, I wouldn't give 2 shits who you were. I'd walk by you because I don't judge. I don't care. I go about my business. I go about my day. If something bothers me, I can just walk away from it, unless someone is, of course, violating my rights and using physical force on me and trying to hurt me. But you know what? People don't scare me. I don't walk around judging people to determine how I'm going to feel. But this day, I did. I've been on trial 3 times. This is the 3rd time that I have done this in my life. Looked you up and down, looked at your face, looked at everything about you, because that's what you did to me. And I know how juries operate. And I know what judges do. Gertie, you got to take over. I made a mistake and didn't get my computer plugged in.
Okay.
I got to do that because I'm about to lose it.
Can I show them a cartoon?
Yeah, you bet. You bet.
Okay.
Oh, this is your cartoon, huh? What do we got going on here?
What we got going on there is a Denver District 3 building. And out front, there's a little pig party, little pig roast. It's a joke. A cartoon's funny. Talking about a pig roast was funny that day. On the right, you've got Brian O'Neill. Do you see he used to be bald-headed in her videos. Now he's at his trial. I realized he has this weird long hair growing out of the back of his head, or sort of halfway across the top of his head. And he always has a not crisp uniform. And you can see Commander Bell, the one with the coffee cup. in his nice new uniform, looking all shiny. I made that for Regan just because it was funny. Because it is funny. That whole live stream was a joke. It was her audience and her interacting in a joking manner about having this pig roast at a pig's house. And the jury doesn't find that funny. They think that's a real and imminent danger. That's all I'm going to say about that. It's just ridiculous.
That's funny as shit.
I mean, come on. It was funny.
So,
And little Brian with his new hairdo.
Sergeant Brian O'Neill of the Denver Police Department, who was up there testifying in his official capacity. I mean, lying in his official capacity. That cop that got on the stand for how many umpteenth time now and lied, and the jury couldn't see that he was freaking out and he was pissed off by the time he walked down off of the testimony box because he just got his ass impeached on the record for lying. That Sergeant Brian O'Neill of the Denver Police Department, and the jury didn't even see that.
Did they not catch that? That they caught him in a lie, and so his credibility was shot. So you don't believe what that pig has to say? Does the jury not get that? Were they asleep right then?
They didn't have any questions. Or maybe it was, maybe the judge told the jury to ignore everything they just heard. Was that one of those moments? I don't know. Gertie, do you remember if that was one of those moments?
No, I don't remember it that way, because when I was watching, I was just amazed that your lawyer just impeached his ass right then and there. I couldn't believe it.
Not gonna lie, also, she had an opportunity to do that to Bell, the Commander Bell, that got up there and testified. And it's unfortunate that the jury wouldn't have ever known anything else about Commander Bell. And, when he got up there and testified, he was just a nice, sweet old guy dressed to the nines in his very expensive suit that I very much like. And that he knows I very much like it, because he also wore it to federal court when he took the stand in federal court and was asked a few questions. And of course, the jury wouldn't know this, Gertie. The jury wouldn't know this. I wouldn't expect them to. But here's where things got a little dicey for poor Commander Bell, because he had to figure out how he wasn't going to dig his hole any deeper from what he testified in federal court in the lawsuit hearing that we had back in December, to the motions hearing for this trial, to the actual trial hearing, where he's now ultimately, at the end of his testimony at that trial, told 3 different stories about what went down. And my attorney, I believe, I don't know, she had things handled quite well. She knew she knew what my expectation was. And we are, of course, there to get a not guilty verdict, and of course set up an appeal. So my attorney's got it handled because she's smart as shit. She never, ever, ever was mean to Bell. You see, the jury, I believe, saw my attorney mop that courtroom saw her mop the ceiling, the floor, the walls with the judge and with O'Neill. And the fact that she couldn't continue on with any questioning because of the judge. And they didn't like that. That didn't feel good. That didn't feel good. Jury, am I wrong? Am I wrong? That you didn't like watching my attorney go up to a bench conference and tell that stupid ass judge, you don't know what you're doing. You didn't like that, huh? It didn't feel good. You didn't like how my attorney argued that with the judge, huh? Because he's king. He's king. Little did you know that that judge was learning from my attorney. Has been through the whole process. And if I wouldn't have known that and I sat on a jury, I'd have been like, something's wrong with this stupid ass judge. I would have even had that much common sense. Because he's either letting her do that or he knows he's done fucked up. You weren't even smart enough to catch that. Right, Gertie?
Well, I guess so. We weren't allowed to watch those conferences, though.
Yeah, that's right.
We kept getting kicked off. We kept getting kicked off and having to get back on because they're so transparent.
Right. Okay. Yeah, of course.
Because they don't know how to mute a microphone.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Let's take a little break here. Look, I'm not going to do anything. Well, we're going to take a little break so I can use these scissors. I'm going to cut open this package that I received today in the mail.
Yeah? Are you getting fan mail now?
I am.
Aren't you special? Do you think that your attorney's going to use any of that Bell material that she has in the future?
Well, I don't know. That's an interesting conversation because I'm guessing no, because from what I think I know about appeals, and that's why I have an attorney.
Right.
Because I'm not an attorney and I'm not as smart as an attorney. And I have never, ever been in a position where I can appeal such a shitty, horrible verdict. And for the first time in my life, I am. And I'm going to do it without getting on YouTube and asking people for money. Can you imagine that? I mean, let that sink in for a minute or two, because my activism has never been about me asking for money to continue to be able to fight the government, because I know what it takes to fight the government. And if I'm not willing to take that on, I'm not going to get on YouTube and ask people, hey, if you want to give me some money, I can appeal this. I'm not doing that. Never have, never will. Because my activism is real and genuine and from the heart. Now, I'm not saying that everybody else's activism isn't genuine. Look, I'm not saying that people shouldn't do that. You do whatever you want. Because I'm not about.
You were prepared.
Bingo.
Yeah, you were prepared to pay the price physically and financially. That's what it sounds like.
And you know that well, because you know a lot more since you've been following me for a couple years. You know a lot more. You've paid attention. You understand why I do what I do, right?
Right.
Where in the press or anybody else that gets to tell a story and try to sell it to other people about me, they don't do that because they don't have honest intentions. Boy, what do I got here? This is so cool. We're doing an unpackaging Oh my goodness. Look at this, you guys. Look what I got in the mail today. Hold on.
It's not showing up well.
It's not at all. Oh, why? Why isn't this showing up? Oh, here we
there
go.
it is. There it is.
For those of you wondering, then you didn't see it. Invisible Spray Street Art Kit. Create art that appears every time it rains. I got another gift. You guys. For those of you that follow me, only you're going to get this. If you're new here, you're probably not going to get this. This is a Columbia brand backpack cornhole set. Corn.
Would that be cornholio?
Oh wait, it looks like somebody put an I and an O to make this read backpack cornholio set. Just a little backstory. Just seconds. Some people in Inglewood are countersuing me for the word cornholio. I'm going to leave it at that. And guess who all these wonderful items are from, Gertie? Did we dare? We're just going to leave it at that. Okay, you guys, we needed that good laugh. That's awesome. Oh boy.
I want to ask you a question though. Can I go back to asking you a question?
Yes.
We talked about the impeachment of O'Neill and that you had enough that you could have probably impeached Commander Bell, but wasn't the judge keeping somebody else from being impeached? Because I saw something that the jury didn't see. And it was something put on the record that after the trial ended, that was disallowed during the trial. The part about Novotny?
Well, yes, and I have to go off memory. And so, and that's why we're not sharing any documents or any of that today. So if you're all wondering where all this proof is, you're going to have to wait to see any of that. And if you missed the trial, like if you were the jury and you checked out and you weren't listening, the investigator that these two cops were able to, in my opinion, get to conspire with them, lied in an arrest warrant affidavit for me. Yeah. She also avoided service 3 times to appear to testify. And it wasn't until the trial that she didn't have a choice but to accept service, to have to show up to the trial. You see, because the Denver Police Department has been working really super hard to ensure that they protect her. And when she testified at the trial, she refused to answer the question honestly about what was written in the arrest warrant affidavit that Sergeant Brian O'Neill was able to get her to lie in to arrest me for the third time. Brian O'Neill himself, for the third time. And so, of course, my attorney called it out right there during her testimony. And as she was making the statement to what she was calling out, Judge Shamjob, well, yeah, what? No, what does this have to do with anything? And this was a common thing with Judge Shamjob when he knew the cops were going to get their asses handed to them. But by this point, he knew that he'd effed up many times. So he called a bench trial, not a bench trial, a bench conference.
Conference, yeah.
And the white noise began to play for the courtroom. And my attorney was ripping Judge Shamjob a new a-hole, I suspect. I mean, I couldn't hear anything that was going on up there. All I saw was this judge going, that's what I saw. And then my attorney came back to the podium and started asking all different questions. Now, if I saw that, you, jury, you saw that too, right? Or was the 22-year-old sitting up front going like that most of the time? Not most of the time. You did it a lot, feller. I saw you. Oh, yeah, we had a 22-year-old as well on our jury. And he couldn't have been more disgusted that he was there, because he's got a bachelor's degree and it is what it is. And yeah, 22-year-old. I saw you. Yeah. So at any rate, back to what I was saying. So Novotny never got called out. She never got impeached right then and there on the record in front of the jury for what she'd done. Well, impeached is the wrong word there. There was a process that needed to happen there, and the judge didn't allow it in front of the jury, if you will. He allowed it at the end of the trial when the jury was out of the room. Mm-hmm.
But if the jury had heard it, oh my Lord, it was damning.
You heard it.
I heard it. But the jury was not.
Let's go. I want to go back to talking about when this jury entered the courtroom. Because, hey, jurors, you understand why I'm judging you? Yeah, because a couple of you dipshits ended up on my jury. Yeah, and you screwed up. So we got this group of people that walk through the door. We're going to start voir dire. And I'm ready to go. My attorney's ready to go. Other attorneys are ready to go. right? It is a wildly aggressive process in how it goes down. The judge has to do some preemptive striking, blah, 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 blah. And we got to figure out where everybody's sitting. We got to know what we're working with. So when you walk through that door, we are full attention and we're standing up to honor you like we do for the man in the black robe, Judge Shamjob. So we have high expectations of you, jurors, and we want to show you that we're serious about why we are here today. Are you serious about why you're there? Or are you just there because you think you gotta go and I might get arrested if I don't go? Or so you walk through the door. We have the first two women, one of them being the 19-year-old that sat on my jury. Little 19-year-old, I just keep picking on you because I'm so hopeful for you. I really, really am. You came into that courtroom and you looked like you had been at a rave all night. And your dress was not a dress you were wearing. Your attire was wholly inappropriate to be there. And you were hanging your head and you were walking in there. I was reading your body language. Okay? Because it was so obvious. So I'm looking at all of you walking in there, and you're all seated now in the 12 seats. There's another man that walked through that door that would have been in the first 12. I paid really special attention to you because I had you pegged and I knew it. And I was right. You were a cop. You walked in the door. I pulled down the jury chart I had, put a slash through you. So my attorney knew. Oh, I didn't have to. She knew. She looked over. That was it. We were working to eliminate you before you ever sat down. And we didn't even hear from you that you were a cop. Because you lied. You lied through the questioning. We were paying really special attention to you. And then it all came out when my brilliant attorney just roasted your ass and you didn't even know it. You finally admitted that you were a former federal agent. And that this case, you couldn't sit on this case after you deliberately sat there to determine whether or not you wanted to be on the case. Right? Were you a plant? Were you put there so you could testify to the rest of the jury in the box before you got up and ultimately were dismissed? Because you made it very clear that you were seething, that law enforcement, these were his words. I'm sitting here seething after my attorney said to the jury, to this 12 in the box, if you hear my client say pigs and talk about pigs, and you hear my client say that the government isn't doing things right, I'm paraphrasing a little bit of what my attorney said, which, by the way, nobody got to see this unless you were in the courtroom or watching online, which was a big game that the judge was playing to ensure
we didn't get to see it. Didn't get to see her remarks to the jury during voir dire, which I've heard were pretty badass, that she really made people interested.
Everybody that was asleep, they were at full attention. They wanted to serve on this jury now. Everybody was wide awake. And I was thinking to myself, this is good, but this is also very dangerous. Because what just happened was a too good of an attorney trying to seat a jury in county court, right? I was a little nervous about that, but she did her job. And unfortunately, it's very clear that a handful of you lied to get on that jury because you thought this was something it wasn't, based on testimony given by other jurors, to include the cop. You thought this was a political culture and climate thing of, oh my goodness, this woman did something to an ICE agent and, oh, this is going to be good. I got to get on this jury, right? Am I wrong? I don't think I'm wrong. And that, oh my gosh, we're going to see evidence where like she did something horrible to the government, and we're going to, for all I know, half of you thought that you were there to see if I was going to prison for a felony. You were given some information, but I don't think you even knew what level of court you were in. I'll bet your civics education was so bad that you didn't know that county court doesn't hear felonies. That's what I thought about all of you when I saw all of you going, this is going to be hot. You, Mr. Copper, that left, I suspect very much that you're watching this. You and your friends. You bitch ass. Welcome to a Regan Benson live stream. You never got up out of your seat before getting that microphone in your hands to preach it to the box. You tainted the jury, and you did it intentionally. Now, those are big words. That's a crime. I'm not like officially accusing this former federal agent of committing a crime. Because when
cops
you got up
don't
and walked
commit
out of there,
crimes.
yeah. I was.
Yeah.
So that guy, bye-bye. There was a juror in that box, and I'm going off memory, in the box, the first 12. She was asked something. I can't remember what. She had the microphone. She was old. She was in her 60s. And my attorney was picking on her, unbeknownst to her, probably, because there was some indication that we needed to get rid of her as well. And my attorney brought it out of her that she admitted with the microphone, well, they've done something wrong or they wouldn't be here. Thank you very much for your honesty. Next. Right? That's how freaking fantastic my attorney was. So we go through all of this and they seat the jury. And I'm feeling okay, but I know better. I know that it's very likely that I'm going to get convicted on stupidity, with stupidity. Let me be very specific that I am fully aware that anytime I go to trial, I am still there to prove my innocence to a jury of my peers. I know what is going on with my peers. I have very little hope. Okay? But I respect the process and I want the process to work. I want my fellow peers and citizens to understand that I'm here, right? Because everybody says, oh, if you don't like it, take it to court, go fight it, good luck, because guess what? Most people can't even freaking afford it. Did you ever think of that, jury? Did you ever think, wow, this woman must be pretty serious. She's here. She's got this badass attorney. Something's going on here. I want to have hope, but I don't. So I was fully prepared for your verdict. And I saw all of you sitting up there. I've judged you. I know that we've got Mr. Civil Engineer up there, retired civil engineer, who ended up being the foreman, right? And race matters here to me. I am not racist, but I have to judge, because you're about to determine what is going on with my life. So I'm looking at Mr., who ends up being the foreman, who we didn't know who the foreman was until stupid Judge Shamjob. That's the other thing. This judge couldn't even instruct the jury on anything, like leaving the room properly. He had to make them sit back down and tell them this and tell them that. He didn't read me my, what is it called? I'm not going to remember. Judges have to give you the oath for putting on the record that you want to testify. He didn't even do that. He called me up to testify without even having done that. I knew that. So did the prosecution. So the prosecution helped the judge. And the judge was like, yeah. So he had to dismiss the jury. You guys were too dumb to pick up on that the judge didn't even know how to run a fucking trial. You didn't even pick up on that. I don't know, Gertie. What do you think?
I just think that you had a jury that didn't have an inquisitive mind. They were allowed to ask questions. They could see things were going a little weird. They could see things getting cut off. They could see.
They should have seen.
They should have. I saw it. Why couldn't they see it?
They weren't looking.
It was their job to pay attention.
So now we've got this
my
jury.
job.
Yeah. So I'm looking at this older man up there, this older white man, and I have to, I'm judging, because you, based on what you've said so far, and if you're telling the truth, I'm having to remind myself, if this man is telling the truth, he hates homeless.
Yikes.
He hates homeless people because he is of great stature in Denver. He made it a point. He's lived in Denver for a lot of years, and he's obviously very, very wealthy as a retired engineer, and you could tell that he's not that old, right? So he's retired. Maybe he was. I don't know. I had to judge, right? He didn't look much older than me, and he's already retired. You hate homeless. So I wasn't feeling good about him. There was a minority, middle-aged, I think it was late 30s, RTD bus driver. Wow. What an articulate individual to talk about his time as a bus driver during jury selection and how he understands people. And he's seen a lot. And so he's got the ability to understand where people come from in different. I'm like, oh my goodness, this guy is a breath of fresh air. When's the last time you heard an RTD bus driver be okay? Yeah, Regan, when is the last time you've heard an RTD bus driver be okay with homeless people? You don't hear that here in Denver. Now, there are some fantastic RTD bus drivers, make no mistake, but the majority of them, they don't like the homeless. So be weary, be skeptical of why this man is saying that. But man, was he saying all the right things. And if he had been true to those words, he too would have found me not guilty. And he too would have said, with my knowledge base of what I said to get on this jury, why the fuck are they not letting her answer these questions about what's happening to people in RVs? Something is wrong here. You, Mr. late 30-some bus driver, I think you too knew I was not guilty. And back to that lady in her 60s. Thank goodness we eliminated her. She really in her late 60s, sitting in juror box, it was like between 10 and or 7 and 12. I think she was 7. She was number 7. She was very likely to move up into the top 6. You gotta go. Holy shit, woman. Even though you have all of this social, she had all kinds of social warrior experience. She loved people that went out and helped people. But she's obviously here for something. She did something wrong. Yeah, get the hell out of here. And she was white, middle-aged. She was middle-aged, but she's older. She was just a Betty Crocker. You hear me refer to myself often as a Betty Crocker. But thank goodness we got rid of her. So we end up with another woman who I was like, let's see, how old was she? She was like in her, I think she was like 30. She was young. There's specific things I remember about specific jurors. And she had a master's degree. And she was the young version of Betty Crocker. And she was very on point with answering exactly what she was being asked. And she was all just prim and proper. And she sat right below Mr. Middle-aged civil engineer guy. So he sat up top during the trial, and she sat right in front of him. And oh boy, every now and again when I saw you, something happened where you completely transformed your physical appearance. I was like thinking to myself, what is going on with this lady? Something's up. And you looked like you were so stressed out. Like this was, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Wait, what? Oh, and everything about your physical appearance just changed. Your hair was falling everywhere. I was like, she's going to be an issue. And this is while the trial was going on, right? We're judging you the entire time because we have to. We have to understand what we're working with. You get this whole judgment piece, jury. You really don't like this, do you? You don't like hearing that I was judging you on how you looked from your outer appearance and a few of the things you said. You know, out on the streets, if we were having this conversation, this would be me in response. Bitch, you don't know my life. You feel that? I don't need you to know my life. I don't need you to judge me. I need you to understand that it's your job as a juror to make the right decision based on the facts and the law. Judges aren't kings. They are not God. You're a juror. You're in charge of the verdict of whether or not I committed this crime. And you failed. You blew it. What else, Gertie? Am I rambling? What else did you see?
Well, I don't think you're rambling. I think you're covering the points. There's still so much you could talk about with the trial. Because there was so much that happened that was so weird. I'm still stuck on where was the imminent threat? And if there was one, why weren't you imminently arrested? Why did it take them over a week to come up with some sort of plan and write out an arrest? And sure, I prayed with my family and I had to talk to the neighbor and they were really scared. Who believes that? Do people really believe that? Does our society think cops are so special that we give them special protection? What the hell?
Some lives matter more than others. And there should be protected classes of people in the United States.
Yeah, well, there should be. There should be the poor, the vulnerable, the homeless. We should protect them. A policeman has all the protection they need. They can summon 100 officers at their doorstep in a second. You and I can't do that. A homeless person can't do that. But they need protection for a joke. Ho, 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 we're going to pig roast you. Ho, ho, ho. And they're scared. Why would anyone believe that in the first place?
And
why?
The jury knew that these cops had been dealing with me for years. They knew I'd been arrested 9 times alone in Denver since 2022.
And 15 overall?
15 arrests. They heard me testify to 15 arrests since my activism, with 9 of those arrests being since 2022 in Denver alone. They heard from another attorney, our witness on the stand, that he sued Denver for First Amendment retaliation of Regan Benson. You know what they got out of that? This is what I think you did, jury. Oh, now this changes everything. She's just trying to sue. Am I wrong, jury? Am I wrong? Am I wrong, Mr. Civil Engineer guy who doesn't like the homeless? Am I wrong in that you heard Regan Benson testify? Because you, of course, would have been disgusted if I would have exercised my right not to testify, right? I was damned if I do or damned if I don't in testifying. This is another case of me gauging what I think I know. I know the jury pool in Denver was pretty much shit at my last trial. I said to myself, you know, if you got to come to trial here in Denver again, you might be in trouble, Regan. Yeah, I was not wrong. I was not wrong. And however, in that last trial, I chose not to testify, and I was found not guilty. And the jury stuck around and talked to me. And it was quite interesting, the conversations we had. I'm not going to share those at this juncture, but there were young people on my jury. And there were also other people on my jury that were unwilling to waver on what they knew to be true, factual, and the law. I was not guilty. And they weren't moving. And I fully believe they would have done their job as jurors, and they would have spent the night. They'd have come back the next day because they were dedicated to what their call of civic duty required of them. However, these other jurors said some things to me when they left, and I went, holy shit, of course, I didn't do that to them right then and there. I just listened, because you ultimately learned a lot of things. But you did a lot of things that you shouldn't have. I knew I was in deep shit with my next jury if I were to ever go to trial in Denver. And lo and behold, I didn't plan that. It just turns out that that dirty ass pig, Sergeant Brian O'Neill, who is his boss's boss, Commander Joel Bell, these two cops decided together to conspire and get whoever else they could involved to try to take down Regan Benson again. Let's try to get her on a felony this time. I knew exactly what Denver was trying to do to me before I ever went to trial. I could have taken a fucking plea deal to avoid all of it. But I knew I had to go to trial because I had to once again put faith in the system that it's going to work and that I'm not going to be convicted of something I never did and something that didn't even meet the elements of what they accused me of doing. I had to weigh my life being dependent on you, jury, that fucked it up. And I went ahead and did it, and you still blew it. You blew it. So now, of course, I have to journey into the next venture. And do you realize that in order to do that, do you understand that process? I'll bet you don't, do you? Any of you? Because your civics education obviously failed you, or your ability to self-teach or get yourselves better in what you were about to walk into failed. It all failed. And guess who gets to pay the price? Me. So my only other option, of course, is to appeal. But do you understand? To file an appeal, just the transcript alone that has to go on the record. Do you understand that the only acceptable thing you get to use in an appeal about what happened in your trial is an official transcript? I want you jurors or anybody else that's here listening, watching, go Google some stuff. And if it doesn't quite make sense, go to a credible source. Figure out what your credible sources are. That's another whole thing in this country. Google public. What is public information? Addresses? Yep. Miss 19-year-old, you're in college. What were you working on? A philosophy degree? You know about sources. Maybe not in total full context, because you may be taking some remedial college courses right now because your education, your public education gave you a diploma and told you, you know everything. You're ready to go out and tackle life. You even said in that jury, during jury selection time, when you decided you wanted to wake up, you said, oh yeah, that's how I'm raised. I mean, I might be a little bit, I might be exaggerating here, 19-year-old, because I recall you even said it better about the question whether or not government does things right. When my attorney said, if you hear my client say that the government gets, you perked right up and you got the microphone, remember? And you said, well, that's pretty much how I've been raised. And as I'm getting out into the world, I see how things are working. And so I think I have a very good perspective or the ability to be fair and understand where that perspective could be coming from. You were very articulate, young lady, in getting that out. Why was that? It's because I think my opinion of you, I think you're way smarter than what somebody has told you or convinced you of through those jury deliberations. Maybe some of it's your confidence or lack thereof. And you came into that environment very intimidated. Understandable. That's why I let it go in how you were dressed and some of your body language. Because when I heard some actual intelligence coming out of your mouth, I was like, wow, 19, she got it going on. And then that lady sitting next to you, the 30, how old was she? She was in her early 30s. She was what was she? She was some kind of designer for the government. She said that when she got the microphone. She said, I'm a designer and I have a government job, a government position. I'm a designer for the government. I said to myself, what the hell? A designer? What do you like, go do flowers or something? But you were gorgeous. 33-year-old gal, I think. And you said some really smart things. And you were neutral for me. And I thought, she'll be okay, I guess. And all throughout the trial, I saw you two young ladies. Not a lot, but enough. I saw you. DJ, this question, I want to address this right now. And you kept her? So during that process, you understand that there's only so many strikes you get. And things are moving rapidly. And there may have been worse than her. Please know that we paid attention to every single person. Okay? And so at the end of the day, whether one of those people may or may not have been somebody we wanted, we can't control it all. Okay? So there's that in jury selection because of how it works from each side and the judge's side. Now, the judge could have done a lot more, and he didn't. So we were dealing with some things going, the hell's going on here? Well, my attorney was dealing with those things, and I could see it, and I could read it, and I could mostly follow it. Now, did I know exactly what she had in her mind for this perfect jury as it was happening? No, but I knew she had it handled. And there were no negotiation shit on Mr. Law Enforcement guy, right? I mean, we were on the same page. So those two young ladies end up sitting together during that entire trial. Well, side by side. So we have two together up top in the box in the first row of 6. We got those two girls, young ladies, sitting together. We've got the one man, the bus driver who drives for RTD, Regional Transportation District. For those of you that are local, you understand everything about RTD and what it all means. And he was very well spoken. And then a seat or two away from him is Mr. Civil Engineer guy. Who is clearly the oldest person on the jury. So you can go ahead and bet that he's going to be your foreman, because the oldest person is the smartest person on a jury, right? No, Miss 19-year-old. No, he wasn't. I'm pretty confident you were. Then in the bottom row, during the trial, when we were done selecting, we had Miss, I don't know what the hell was going on with you at all, sitting down from Mr. I hate homeless people. And then that direction, a seat over or two, we had the 22-year-old kid. You were a kid with the bachelor's degree, who was, I'm sure, thinking he was the smartest man in the room. And then we had, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, 3, 4. That's 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, that was 6. So you're our jury. You are, and you're all now woken up and ready to go. And I'm feeling okay about the jury that I have. Time's going to tell as we go through the jury, as we go through the trial. And lo and behold, within the first hour, I knew I was going to be found guilty. You know why? Because you all were exceptionally disappointed with what you watched in the video clip that the prosecution showed you. You were deflated. You were like, oh, shit. We got on this jury for this. Man, I should have lied a little better so I could have gone home. Right? I saw, not all of you, but there was a deflation of your vigor to be on that jury, except for Mr. Foreman, I hate homeless people. Boy, he was ready to go. It's because you had already determined you didn't like me. I knew you were going to be the foreman. I knew it. The girl sitting down below you, I'm like, yeah, she's probably going to rule with him because they're the two oldest ones, I think, from what I remember, on this jury. And she wasn't that old. So we actually had a whole group of very young people in comparison to Mr. Retired Civil Engineer, know-it-all. And the more we went through the trial, I said to myself, yeah, so you came prepared correctly. I testified. I testified to the truth. I could have still not testified. I could still have chosen, jury, to go, fuck it. I'm going to be found guilty. Why would I testify? Just sit down. Let it get over with. But I still had to hold out some hope that you were going to put stuff together when you went and deliberated. And then you deliberated for don't quote me, but it definitely was not enough time to even watch the full video. And maybe I'm underestimating that you only watched 10 to 15 minutes of it in court. But even if you had watched an hour and 38 minutes of that video in court, and you knew that that video was an hour and 41 minutes, wouldn't you want to watch the rest of it? I certainly would have thought you wanted to. Gertie, am I rambling?
I don't think you're rambling, but I think we are at 2 hours. So,
Oh boy. See how time flies?
yeah, I just think it was, I heard you say over and over, I'm going to be found guilty. And I didn't want to believe it. And when I watched the trial, I didn't believe it. And you know, there were people who were watching it who I saw in a chat say, I am so sad. I'm typing with tears right now. And I felt that way. I was sad and I was angry. And then after that, I was confused because I didn't understand how it could happen. But you knew it was going to happen. I think you knew even better than your lawyer knew. Because you know the system was trying to get you. I mean, you had judges, you had prosecutors, you had cops against you. And they didn't prove their case.
But
They're liars.
But we didn't prove our innocence. And I will take that hit. We didn't prove our innocence. So me and my attorney pick ourselves apart. I told my attorney, don't you dare. Don't you dare. She's like, well, they thought I was too mean to the judge.
But you know what? You kind of did prove your innocence. Because if they paid attention, they knew y'all were jacking around talking about a pig roast. That's hilarious. It's not a threat. Hello. It was just being stupid. It's like cussing. You know, you're not supposed to judge on those feelings. You know, I don't, it was ridiculous.
We may have to pick up this discussion again if we decide that there's more to talk about, which I think there is. I really do. But this question here, Bob Neoff. I've been watching you since 2019. Why aren't you an attorney in fact? Do you not know USC laws? No, I don't. Do you expect me to? Bob Neoff.
Yeah, I'd like to hear more about what he means by that question.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Because here's this other thing. Everybody's smarter than the attorney. I'm not. I didn't go to law school. I didn't go to law school to perfect a specific area of law so that I could be as effective as successful attorneys are. I didn't do that. I know for a fact that I'm not smarter than an attorney. USC laws? Why would I perfect knowing USC laws? So what you're doing, Bob Neoff, or whatever your name is, you're trying to insult me. Are you an attorney, Bob Neoff? I'm not stupid, is my point. And stupid people get themselves in very bad situations. especially in the world of activism. I am now officially, I consider myself the oldest activist in the state of Colorado. That's forward facing, that's public. I've known all along, don't you dare come out here and try to play attorney. You are not smarter than a good attorney. There are certainly shitty attorneys. And guess where they have jobs? Yes.
They're city attorneys.
Where those attorneys get jobs.
Yep.
Because they know that they're not going to be held accountable. They know that they're always going to have a guaranteed paycheck when they can talk circles around people, especially, right? Attorneys are the smartest people in the room. And a judge, well, they're certainly the smartest attorney in the room, right? In county court in Denver, Colorado. No. That is the dumbest lawyer you're ever going to know or see on display. Not in all cases. It's exceptionally rare when there's pockets of greatness in government. We should highlight those. I have a favorite judge in Denver. It is a woman, and I think she's pretty badass in county court. I'm not going to name her. Because I know that there are specific reasons that we had 3. This is what I think I know. There are specific reasons that we had 3 judges on this case. And I've been harsh about some of the girl judges. They're in Denver. I may be a little wrong or off base about a couple of things that have happened that may be around intentions of recusal, I'll just say. Why did I end up with the dumbest judge in Denver? Was it retaliatory? Why did I end up with a judge out of eviction court in Denver that got himself in trouble with the Supreme Court, and somebody finally got a case taken up to what level of appeal, I can't remember, where Judge Shamjob was denying people due process over in eviction court. Was that a setup? I don't know. But Judge Shamjob, you know, you're not supposed to be watching this. And I'm guessing you are. I know what kind of judge I got that day. And by the second day of that trial, he went, oh shit. I really got to double down now. But, I've been caught pretty much. I've figured out who this woman is. I've said some really stupid shit in the motions ruling that I issued when I called her a liar. It's clear that this attorney here, I just got a 2-year law education from for free. Yeah, I know what you did, Shamjob. And so, jury, thank you. Thank you for finding me guilty. What else? What else do I say? So, what else we got in the chat? Let's take a look. let's take a look in the chat and see if anybody wants to have any, ask any questions. I don't know if I'll answer them or not. Remember, it depends on whether or not I like you or not.
I am thankful, though, that your judge wrote in reasons for appeal in everything he said. I mean, really, most of what he said was a reason that showed his bias. So anyway, that's the last I'll say. You go ahead and answer questions with everybody else.
And you didn't even get to see the whole. Yeah.
I saw enough, though.
Yeah. Yeah. And so if you were a juror and you would have been paying attention, the best thing you could have done for those cops and for the city of Denver and everybody else who I hurt their feelings and blah, 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 the best thing you could have done was found me not guilty.
Yep, because it's going further and it's all exposed.
Yeah. You see? So things happen for a reason. But let me be very clear. I am very disappointed in the jury of my peers. And we talked, I think I talked pretty candidly and respectfully as compared to what I could say about you, because it's called free speech. And I'm a very nice, understanding, I like to consider myself a fairly intelligent person. And if I don't have the answer, I certainly want to surround myself with people I can learn from or go use my sources that I know are credible. Now, do not misconstrue that. You were not supposed to research anything about this case while you were supposed to be remaining neutral and impartial. How many of you did that? How many of you went home that night and looked me up? Did you do that, Mr. I Hate Homeless People? You didn't do that, did you? I'm just asking. We heard your potty mouth with intelligence. Is my potty mouth ever unintelligent? Fair question. Oh, the prosecution. The prosecution asks me when I'm on the stand, Miss Benson, hello, I like streamers. That was Mr. McCrackenstrackle. You dumb shit. Streamers? Like, you know, when you stay home and you stream all your gaming shit? No, dude, I'm not a gamer. It's clear you are. But Miss Benson, I love streamers. Thank you. Is it fair to say that you don't like Commander Bell? No, it's not. Wait. Okay, so it's not. You do. He was lost. He didn't know what to do. So he doubled down to try to get the jury convinced that I was a really good, rotten liar. But here's the truth, Mr. McCracklestracken. It wasn't fair to say that, because you didn't ask me, are there any qualities at all about Commander Bell that you like? I would have answered that question honestly as well. But instead, you went off the rails. That convinced you, didn't it, jury? I was a liar because I wouldn't say I didn't like Commander Bell. Is it fair to say you don't like Commander Bell? No, it's not. Because there's things about Commander Bell that I liked, but nobody asked me that question. You see psychological warfare and manipulation. Now, Mr. McCracklestracken, is there a reason you didn't ask me, is it fair to say you don't like Sergeant O'Neill? I would have said yes. And then you might have said, tell us a little bit more about that, right? And I would have told you that that cop doesn't have a single redeeming quality that I've been able to identify at all. But you didn't ask me if I liked Sergeant Brian O'Neill. Why is that, Mr. McCrackle-Strachan? Is that because Joel Bell was just this little old man that testified? He's all confused and shit, and he's turning his body and winking at me. Oh, Gertie, did you see that? Did you see Commander Bell?
I saw him turn to you, and I thought it was after when you had said you thought how old he was. And something was about age, and I thought he was looking at you because you had estimated him was a lot older, maybe. But I didn't know he looked at you and winked. That's diabolical.
Yeah, it was during testimony. And the part of the video had played about them wanting to show the jury specific things about what a horrible person I was. And I was making fun of Commander Bell. Joking, sarcasm. And I said, fuck if I know, he's probably like 90 years old. Because I apologize, Commander Bell, but you do look a little bit older. Is that because you're stressed out on the job? I don't know. But you sure do dress nice. And you've got this really great way about you with the elderly folks over in District 3. And I really love it. I really do. And I think that you have been bullied to no end into supporting your troops, to include your boss, Sergeant Brian O'Neill. And I think he talked you into every bit of this. Nobody asked me that question. I am a very reasonable person. I am a very forgiving person. And you know that, Commander Bell. You know that quite well. So with that, yeah. Where was I going with that, Gertie? Weren't we going to answer some questions?
Yeah, we just got on this side thing of him turning around and winking at you.
Yeah. It was all a show. It was all a show.
He comes across as pretty innocent, but you can go back in his record. He's been involved in some shootings, and one guy he was the commander of had been involved in 3 shootings in 6 months. And he was the commander who said, yeah, there's that car over there. It's running and it's parked at the funeral home. It's full of people. Let's go arrest somebody out of that car. That's what Commander Bell did when he was a sergeant.
Was that the Ron Keogh case?
Yep. Yep.
This shooting?
Yep.
And Bell was
controversial, wasn't it, in Colorado?
What's that?
It was pretty controversial there in Colorado, wasn't it?
Yes,
that shooting?
It was because the Denver police, if I'm recalling correctly, killed a man in the parking lot of a funeral home during a funeral. Is that sounding right?
Yes, he was the sergeant, and he gave the order to go arrest a guy who's grieving in a car that is running.
Joel Bell was the sergeant at that
and it
time.
was full of people. A car full of people running at a funeral. That's the best time to
Yeah.
go arrest somebody. And they end up shooting him.
Did
And
they
the guy
kill
who
that
shot him,
Yeah.
and the guy who shot him had shot 3 other people within 6 months. And then he hooks up with Brian O'Neill. So he can look like a grandfather, but there's more to it.
Yeah, interesting. And here I was, Bill, you suck at your job. That's the bottom line. And I don't want to sit down and have coffee with you. You were letting Sergeant Brian O'Neill do the things he was doing, and you knew it. But I'm guessing you were too checked out, maybe, because you just got this big ass promotion to commander so you can end your career with higher pay. Were you even going to work? I don't know, because remember, I was the one on trial, and you got to paint the picture of, she want to have coffee with me. I tried. In the jury, they see her making fun of my age. Miss Benson, I tried. No, you didn't. You suck at your job.
You didn't have coffee with him because he wouldn't let you use your camera. You probably would have sat down with him if he let you use your camera to have a little coffee chat.
Perhaps, but
let's be real.
At the time, don't ever have meetings with cops that you can't prove what was said.
Exactly.
And I don't do it. But that's not why I didn't want to have coffee with him. It's because he was letting these things happen. And he knew it. And he didn't care. And he was going to try to be my friend. He was going to try to pick my brain and see what he could learn from me. You suck at your job. I don't even want to know you in your official capacity. I have a right to say that, to critique that, to joke about it. You know I have the right to do that, Belle. You let Brian O'Neill talk you into, dude, she's never going to stop. She's just going to keep doing this to you. Look what she's done to me. She's got my IA file out there now. This is dangerous. Look what she did. Because guess what else came up in testimony? All kinds of conflicting testimony, Belle, about who called you to tell you about the live stream. You see, I'm not stupid. And I really did do you a solid favor to try to redeem yourself with the truth. And I didn't crawl all over my attorney and say, take him down. Now, hold on. Let's talk about this, what take him down means, because see, everything I say, they're recording this. They're waiting for that opportunity. Show the world that this cop is a dirty pig liar. I could have made that happen at that trial. I could have. I chose not to. Because I still went in there thinking, why don't you just tell the fucking truth, Belle? I knew what O'Neill was going to do. I knew what he was going to do. And he got his ass handed to him. And I'm not going to lie, when he got off that stand, I was saying a little prayer that we all survived that, like his exit of that courtroom. The look on his face, and the jury didn't see that. His posturing towards me, his walking right by the table. You didn't see any of that, jury? That's really unfortunate, because that right there is a very, very dangerous cop. And he's keeping his job because he's part of a long line in a family of cops in Denver. And he's got a lot of high up people working very hard to protect him and make sure that he keeps his job. No, this shit doesn't happen in Denver. What's wrong with you, lady? You just hate cops. Not true. And you didn't pick that up. That's too bad. That's really too bad. So did we have any questions? Let's go back and look through here. Is anybody saying anything inappropriate in this chat that could be taken as a threat, an imminent threat? If that is the case, I have to chastise you and block you so they don't create another case on me. Well, this is a cute comment. It's not a question. It's a comment. Susan, it's not what you do, Regan. It's how you do it. Anger is not the way. Legal is. When did you come into this chat, Susan? And please come out and show me the better way to do it. And please explain to us how anger should never be an emotion. I look forward to your exceptional professionalism and willingness and ability to have me follow your lead, because I'm sure you get things done. Please come out here and show me how it's done. Thank you very much for your time. I very much appreciate your presence and the time that it took for you to come into this chat and make that comment. Have a wonderful evening. How'd I do, Susan? See, do we have any other questions that are prudent? I don't see any. Now, if I missed you, I apologize. This is another thing I had to explain on the stand to the jury, since they used only certain evidence with screenshots and stuff to convince the jury. Also, and you didn't see that? You didn't know the whole chat was gone, and that you don't know how the YouTube platform works in when you go to review chats during a live stream that disappeared after they colluded to do an expansive search warrant of my Google account. None of that made sense to you, that they might be phishing to try to take down a whole bunch of other people too? None of that worked with you. You didn't. I get it. I just don't see any questions. Joy, I witnessed O'Neill illegally arrest Regan on a live stream. Joy has been a follower and supporter for a very long time. You know, that's funny, Belle, you testified to, well, she can't possibly know 24,000 people. Oh, I know a lot of my people, Belle. Do you know your people? Okay, wow. There we go, Gertie. I think it's a wrap. And thank you, Susan. I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. This is, human communication. And maybe I misinterpreted what you meant. And see, here we are having normal human adult dialogue because we're not here to take each other down, are we? I don't think you get that either, Commander Bell. And jury, that's too bad. But guess what? It's okay. I'm okay with what you fucked up royally. It hurt my heart. Not gonna lie. You should have done a better job. You should have shown me that I should have hope in my fellow man, woman, child. You weren't necessarily a child, but girlfriend, you're only 19. I can't say. That's an age comparison thing. I'm not going to say any more about that. But do know, little Miss 19-year-old, that I'm pretty damn sure you were the smartest one on that jury. So with that, Gertie, what do you got left to say?
Oh, I think it's been covered. I just appreciate the chance to be here and talk with you about it, because I was pretty amazed at your juries, that the decision they made. I just don't understand it really as a human being.
Yeah. Feelings rue the day. And the people that knew that I wasn't guilty, they caved. They went in there hungry. They were ready to go. So I guess that concludes this little talk. And if we decide there needs to be a part 2, look for the next talk on this, A Message to My Jurors Part 2. But for now, I have to stay focused. My sentencing hearing is on May 8th. I think if you have an opinion one way or the other, I think if you know anything about sentencing hearings, do some research. How about if I just leave it at that? I'll just leave it at that. May 8th at the Lindsay Flanagan Courthouse at 1:30 in the afternoon in courtroom 3E is Regan Benson's sentencing hearing. Do we know if Judge Shamjob is going to stream it? We don't know. Look at all the games he's already played. We don't know what's going to go on. Hell, we may not even have the same judge. Hell, he could do all kinds of crazy shit at sentencing. Hell, I don't know. So if you want to see it and you want to be a part of it because you've done your research about what sentencing hearings are about, I'll see you on May 8th at 1:30 in the afternoon in courtroom 3E at the Lindsay Flanagan Courthouse. And with that, we're out.